All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, hello. This is Mr. G, and today we are going to talk about taking our line drawings and getting them into our actual Photoshop so we can do some digital painting. So I've got a line drawing here, and I am just going to use this one right here. So here's an example. I just did a drawing. This is a pen and ink drawing that I did, and I have emailed it to myself. So first of all, just getting it into your digital program, easiest thing to do is just send an email to yourself. And attach that after you take a photo with your camera on your phone. So that's the easiest way. You could also use a scanner, or there's multiple ways to get it in. But if you just need a quick and easy way to get it in there, if you take a nice clear photo, make sure you don't have your own shadow over top of it. Try to find a place with nice bright light by a window, or near artificial light in some way that you have kind of an even tone of white across the board. All right. So once you've got that in there, I'm going to go ahead and jump over here to Photopea and show some different ones. So this technique is going to be the way that Mr. G does most of his personal work. So all these pictures were done with like a similar technique where I've drawn this on an ink, pen and ink, and put it on a board and put it into Photoshop or Painter or some digital painting program so that we can take it to a finished level. All right, but we start on pen and paper. Okay, same thing with this right here. So this particular image here, where I've got background and color, I'm going to turn these off. And you can see I'll get down to just an ink drawing. And that ink drawing is this piece of paper right here that I've got inked on there, where I've just snapped a picture and sent it in there. So this technique, like I said, you can do a very finished piece of art with using this in just Photoshop or any basic painting program. All right, so let's go over here. I'm going to go to Photoshop real quick. Okay, I've got this drawing here that I had. I was just working on the one I had here. You can see I've got these guys already working, but let's start from so I just emailed that to myself and opened it up. Let's go ahead and open on this one right here. Okay, so let's take this drawing right here. Okay, now this is just done in a normal sketchbook, and I've done this with a ballpoint pen and a Sharpie. So using really basic things. So I just got just a black ballpoint pen and just a regular Sharpie that I put an outline on this. So this is something, that everybody should be able to access with these kind of supplies. All right. Now, once I get it in there, I want to think about what I want to get in here. So obviously I have got my drawing. I've got a little piece of my sketchbook in there. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it down to what I want to use. So I'm going to just come in here just a little bit and crop out the extra that I don't need. So that looks good to me right there. Okay. Then I'm going to push return to copy that or get that in there. Okay. Also got this little piece up here. We'll clean that up here in a second. All right. So the main thing you got to do is we got to get a high contrast so we can really see that line. There's multiple ways to do this. You could select by color range, but the easiest way I usually do is I just go in here to image adjustments, and I take the brightness and contrast and just take that contrast and take it way up so that we're just eliminating all levels of tones between black and white. So that's going to be basically just a black and white image and no grays at all. So that's what we're doing. So I'll do this, and I will do this, depending on my drawing and how dirty it is. If you have a lot of pencil lines in the back that you haven't cleaned up, you might have to do this several times until it starts to clean up. But I am just going to keep doing this until I think I've got most of my grays eliminated. Okay, you can see down here I've got some yellows, so we'll see how this works here. Image adjustments, just keep going. We can play with brightness. See if I take that brightness up a little bit, it's going to take that white up. And again, we're just trying to get to black and white. So I'm not sure how many times I've done this, 6, 7 times. All right, so there we go. I've got a pretty good selection there, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I've got this area right up here, and I'm just going to get a brush. I'm just going to get a basic brush, and I'm just going to get black and white here. And I'm just going to get white on my brush, and I'm going to paint out anything I want. So if I have pencil lines like on her jaw there, and I'm just going to paint white over top of these little areas up here. Remember, you can zoom in. And I'm going to clean up anything that I don't want in my picture. I've got rid of most of my little artifacts from erasers and stuff. I'm going to clean up this jawline just a little bit here. Kind of take that little line off there. That looks good to me. I'm happy with that. So from there, only thing we got to do, we're just going to go in and we're going to make a quick mask. So right underneath your color foreground and background color, you have the quick mask button, or it's Q on your keyboard, and just hit that real quick. Or actually, we got to select this all first. So we're going to do Command A to select everything, and then we're going to cut this. We're going to go ahead and Command X. Okay, so I've cut this out of my picture here. Mr. G has lost his layers. Where are my layers at? Oh, well, they're hiding underneath Mr. G's picture. All right, so I'm going to fill that with white. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bucket and just dump white in there. Okay, now I'm going to hit that quick mask button, and then I'm going to hit Command V to paste my picture in there. And you'll see that I've got this red outline here. Get myself out of here in a way that I can see everything. So this red outline is going to be that black line that we put in here. So we got a mask, right? So black is going to reveal and white's going to conceal. So that is all looking really good. You could clean it up in this phase too. If I wanted to go in and add anything, I could go in and use my pen, say, and go and add some different details that you wanted. If you wanted to clean anything up, you could. And if I wanted to do, I could use white to clean up in this face too. So it's really either way you want to do. So you get multiple opportunities to kind of correct up your drawing there. But once you're happy with your drawing and everything, I go and I hit the quick mask again. And there I've got a selection built around my drawing. Okay, so that is awesome. So we want to invert this, right? Because I've got all the negative area. Now I want to get just the line. So I'm going to do Command, Shift, and I, or select and inverse selection. And then I'm going to go in here nice and close. And I'm going to go and grab my paint bucket. I'm going to make sure I have black. And I am going to fill inside one of my selected lines, like right there, with black. And I'll usually hit it a couple times. Okay. Now then I'm going to zoom out. Then I usually go Command, Shift, and invert that one more time, and then I'll do Command X to clear away everything else. Okay. Now that leaves me with a simple line drawing. Okay. That is right on there that you could go in with your paint bucket and you could start filling with color if you wanted to do so. So you could start just putting color in there and filling that in. Okay. Now, I usually put everything on a separate layer. So let's go back a few steps. Go Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. Okay, so you could go right from there and you could put that on its own separate layer by going in here and going Command, just create a new layer. And now I've got a new layer. And I'm going to do that same step where I'm going to go in with black. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to try and zoom in. And I'm going to fill right into one of those lines. Again, I do it a couple times, and then I'll Command Shift I to invert, and I will hit Command X to cut, Command D to deselect, Command 0, and now I've got a line layer that is existing all by itself. So I can go and I can paint underneath of it with a brush to do, get a different color here. And now I can paint underneath it, and you see it preserves my lines underneath it, so I can fill it in like that. Okay. So once I have that, usually the way I personally operate, I'll take my line layer and I'll save that one line layer and I'll put it on the very top of a stack of layers to preserve that line. So I have that nice black line that I did in my drawing preserved. So I will go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this layer a couple times, and we're going to call this second layer color, and then I'm going to duplicate it again, and I'm going to make shade, and then I will arrange those. So, and I'll call the original one line layer. So I put the line layer on top, I put the color layers on the bottom, and I put the shade in the middle. So I got line, shade, and color. So I got my line layer at the top. I usually lock that so I don't accidentally color on it. It happens a lot. On my color layer, I'll go down here and let's fill in her face. Let's pick a nice warm tone for my vampire girl here. And let's get this skin tone about like right there for just kind of a neutral skin tone. And then I'm going to go in here with my paint bucket and we'll just fill her face in there. Clean that up real quick. Command Z. So with the paint bucket, it's going to fill continually until it runs in. So I might have to go in and get my brush way smaller. And I am just going to put a line right there. Again, I'm on my color layer, and anywhere where it's going to break there so I don't get in that hair. I think I got everything there. All right, now I'm going to fill that face in, and I go Command 0 to zoom out. So there's her face filled in. Let's go ahead and we'll do her lips too. Get a nice red for her lips there. And we'll do her inside of her mouth just real quick. Like that. So now I have her face. Now the way I do this, I'd go ahead and finish my colors and do her eyes and everything. And then when I want to add shade, what I do is I paint straight with black. So I got black here over here, but I've got my line already set up so I can go to color and I can select an area. So let's say I want to shade the face. So I'll just get my magic wand tool and I'll select the color I want to shade. Okay, so there's that color. And then I'll go back to this shade layer. Okay, and I usually hide that layer. So I hit Command and H to hide that. And then I will go in with my brush and I'll paint straight black onto to make my shade. So let's say I want to put a shadow over on this side of her face here. So I would go and I'd go in here like this. You say, but Mr. G, you are putting that big dark shadow on her face. In pure black. It looks way too dark. Remember, I've got this selected so I can just put it out. But when I have it in complete black like that, I can go ahead and get this in here. I'm doing this just for an illustration here to show you how this works. Normally work a little bit more careful. When you drop that opacity down, and I usually keep mine right at 33, you'll see I get a perfect shade. Now I have that shade of the darker tone of her skin on that side of her face, and I don't have to go back and match colors. All I have to do is put that gray layer over top of that, and I can do that. And I usually do a couple layers of this so that I have some darker tones, so I can get one shade darker. Say if I want right here under her eye, I can make another shade. So I can go and I can always duplicate my layer. And make another shade if I want. Unlock that. I'll put that underneath the other one. So I got the original shades, and underneath this, I can go back and I can add a little bit more dark. If I want to go one shade darker, again, set that to 33% opacity. You'll see it gives me a second layer of dark shades that I can add in there. And you could do 3, 4 if you wanted. I've you know, sometimes I do if I'm doing like something very shiny or has a lot of deep shadows in it, we can do that. But it's kind of, you can go in anywhere you need like just an extra accent of shadow. You can go and add a little bit more shadow on here. Okay, so that's how I go about this. Now I also do my highlights in there. So I'll go in here and instead of using black, I'll just paint with white. So if I want a highlight on her bridge of her nose here, I'll go in with the white and I'll put my highlights in just like that as well. A little gleam on her cheek there. So that is a quick way that you can get your line drawing from a piece of paper into your program and do a quick selection and paint and get to work right away so that you can get to a finished drawing. Okay. All right, everybody be creative and I will see you soon.